Hey, good morning there. Yes, we're here, and we will be right back with Daniel chapter 1 and some more of his story right after this. And we are back on Monday, April 8th. And yes, this is the eclipse day. Don't look directly at it. I think it happens in our area between 11 and 1. I'm just going to throw that out. I haven't kept exact time on that. And we're running just a tad behind this morning. It just happens. It's a Monday. We're glad that you're with us. We're back in Daniel chapter 1. We just can't seem to get out of that, and that's because there's just a lot of little things that we can learn from it. What I want to do is, as a recap for those who have been watching, or if this is your first time to watch, I will give you a couple of verses to direct you where we're going for this morning. So let me set the stage real quick. Daniel and a number of other young men, but specifically he has 3 friends who are given new names, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. They have been picked by the king to represent the Babylonian group. They are being offered some of the royal food and the wine and the best of the best. But Daniel does not want to defile himself. They know that food has been used for pagan worship and such. And so we've talked about this verse a few times. We're going to look at it in a little bit different angle this morning. So what happens is Daniel gives a suggestion, and here's what happens. Daniel chapter 1, verse 12 and 13. He says, "Give us nothing but vegetables to eat and water to drink. Then compare our appearance with that of the young men who eat the royal food, and treat your servants in accordance with what you see." Now, interestingly, this is not the only time that Daniel goes on a specific diet, so to speak. If you fast forward to Daniel chapter 10, verses 2 and 3, here's what you read. "At that time, I, Daniel, mourned for 3 weeks. I ate no choice food, no meat or wine touched my lips, and I used no lotions at all until the 3 weeks were over." Now, the story in chapter 10 is a little bit different than the one in chapter 1. Chapter 10, those were signs of not only mourning, but they were signs of fasting and rejoicing. So there's another scenario that's happening in chapter 10. But because of his diet in chapter 1, and especially his diet in chapter 10, which was a total of 21 days. A few years ago, there was a popular diet program that came out. It was known as the Daniel Diet. Okay, it was the Daniel Fast Diet. And basically what it was designed for better health. For Daniel, it increased his knowledge and a better understanding of things. So we need to know this, that there is no set verse or passages of scripture in the Bible that instruct us that we have to follow Daniel's diet. Okay. However, his diet is a powerful example of what can happen when you and I choose to eat more simply and to spend some time prayerfully and mindfully with the Lord. That diet, by the way, included some of these steps. First of all, it was to last for 21 days. It was to exclude alcohol, caffeine, meat, dairy, sugar, fats, and processed foods. It was to include foods grown from seeds, such as fruits, vegetables, and whole grains. Obviously, you drink lots of water. And as an added note, a lot of times people, what they will do is they will dedicate with the Daniel fast to spending more time in prayer and Bible study. Now, I'll be honest with you. I think it's a great idea. I have not tried it. I'm not going to say that I will, and I'm not going to say that I won't, but I will tell you this on a personal note. Just knowing what we'd have to give up, this would be a hard one for me to do. I mean, you can tell the TV makes you look bigger. I'm not really this big in real life. I mean, those who know me may differ. But here's the deal. I love my Mountain Dew. I like my pizzas. And I occasionally like a good Burger King Whopper. Okay, so all of that stuff would have to be put on hold for 21 days. I mean, 10 days would be bad enough. I could probably make it 10 days, but 21 days, wow. Not saying I couldn't do it, but it would be very hard for me, okay? But not impossible if the Lord was giving me strength. Here's the whole point of this. First of all, if you think about it, just in common sense wise, the king was offering to these men and others the royal food. I mean, they could eat as much as they want. They could drink as much as they want. And we just naturally know that when you do that, when you gorge yourself, it's not going to be really good. I mean, you take just 10 days of straight fast food, snacking, Reese's peanut butter cups, Snickers candy bars, Payday candy bars, a soda here, a soda there, whatever. Yeah, you can tell what my diet is like. So, for 10 days, man, you just walk around feeling like I am just miserable. Okay, well, who wouldn't after that diet? So even 10 days of laying off of that stuff and just practicing, hey, let's just do vegetables and water. Yeah, the appearance is going to look different. Okay, it's just a natural tendency. But here's what happens. Their appearance looked better than the others when they showed back up. There's a miracle that happens, so to speak, here. But we need to understand that the miracle is not in the vegetables, per se, or the water he was drinking. God is the one behind the miracle. It'd be sort of like when Moses is leading the children of Israel out of Egypt and they come to the Red Sea, and Moses is like, what are we going to do? And God says, lift up your staff. We usually summarize it that Moses parted the Red Sea. Well, Moses was a participant. Moses himself did not. It was God that parted the Red Seas. It was God that brought the waters back. Or you move to the story of Joshua, who takes the city, or takes the people to march around the city of Jericho. Their marching around did not bring the walls down. God is the one who did that. But both of those servants were obedient in the process. And so in verse 17 of Daniel chapter 1, we see that God does something for Daniel. He said, to these 4 young men, God gave knowledge and understanding of all kinds of literature and learning. And Daniel, now he was probably set apart a little bit different than the other 3. Daniel could understand visions and dreams of all kinds. I want you to understand that Daniel and his friends learned all they could about the new culture that they were living in. They wanted to do so that their work was excellent. But while they were learning about the new culture, they maintained an allegiance to God, and God gave them the skill and the wisdom. Here's what I want you to really grasp here. God honored Daniel and his friends because Daniel, first of all, honored God. And it made me think of a verse in the New Testament that's going to appear on your screen as we wind up our time this morning. In Matthew chapter 6, during the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus is talking about, do not store up for yourselves treasures on earth where moth and rust destroy and thieves break into steal, but put your treasures in heaven. And he talks about not to worry about what you're going to eat or drink or what you're going to wear. And then he says this in Matthew chapter 6, verse 33. Seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things. What things? Well, treasures on earth, your provisions, your food, your clothing, what you eat, what you wear. All these things will be given to you as well. You see, just as Daniel honored God first, and then God gave to him, so too is the same for you and I today in 2024. When we make him first priority, then he honors what we do. Thank you again for joining us. Have a wonderful day. Enjoy the eclipse moment. Be safe out there. God bless. We'll see you next Monday on Plugged In.